Welcome to the Successful Nurse Coach podcast. We are here for episode number 4, and Shelby and I are going to talk about when is the right time to get started in your business and when's the right time to invest with your first business coach. And Shelby's going to give us an overview of what we're going to talk about today, but we uncovered a lot of funny things about this process, this brain process that happens when we begin to think about launching a private practice.
I hope that I never lose this memory of when I went to the county clerk's office in New York State and I applied for my business, and just like what a fraud I felt like I was the most excited fraud on the entire planet that day because I had no idea what I was doing, but damn it, I was official about it. And so today we're gonna tell you and cover just how it's likely never gonna feel like the right time to get started. But also, we're going to cover when is the right moment for you to hire a coach. There isn't a black and white answer here. So, we're going to do our best to speak to the nuances of both of these things. But it is really important for us to be super transparent with you and talk about how it's never, ever going to feel like the right moment to get started.
Yeah, so we are going to share quickly what our first coach story is, and maybe we've said this before, but I like to tell this story because I just think it illustrates um the vulnerability, the leap of faith, all the feelings. It normalizes all the feelings that you're likely to have. If you're listening to this now, you're probably already thinking about possibly launching a private practice or becoming a nurse coach. And the first time that you think about opening a business to the actual day that you do it, it can be 10 days, it can be 10 years. And what we will say is that it'll never feel like the right time. Similar to having a baby. You can think that you're prepared, but you can want to be over prepared and have $100,000 in the bank and be at your goal weight and be knocking it out of the park in your relationship and your toenails are all painted perfectly. But realistically, our lives are usually in some form of transition and chaos. And so therefore, you don't have to wait for things to be perfect. I waited to hire my first business coach. I tried to do it on my own. I tried to find free resources. I went to the not the Better Business Bureau, but
Small
the SBA.
business. Mhm.
Yeah, Small Business Association, and I remember meeting with people who were trying to be helpful. Their advice had nothing to do with my industry. So I was given a lot of bad advice and spent a lot of time and money doing dumb things that did not help me find clients or create income. I hired my first coach at about the 6-month mark. I found her on EverCoach, and I saw her in an interview by Rich Litvin, and I loved her rawness, her vulnerability, and she was not polished, and I'm not polished, and I thought she is the coach for me. So I reached out to her, kind of starstruck, almost like I placed her in like this celebrity coach status, which is really helpful for me because it made me want to be the good student, and it really made me show up. I really leveraged that pedestal for myself, and I spent 2 hours with her on the first call, 2 hours in the second call, and I knew when I got off that call, I didn't care how I was going to do it. I was going to create the $12,500 to work with her, no matter what. And it was that conviction and that feeling that I paid for. When I got off the sales call with her, I knew that if I worked with her and I did what she said, that I could be just as successful as her. There was no doubt in my mind. So I really appreciate, I think Shelby and I both lucked out with who we hired first. And Christina, if you're listening ever, thank you, because that 6 months with you was really gave me the foundation from which my entire business is built upon.
Yeah, and I even remembered this is before you and I had partnered up, that there was a very big shift in our conversations of when you did not have a coach versus when you had a business coach, and you just finally had your hands on the right information so that you could take
Yeah.
the appropriate action to create money and not spend time on all the fluffy stuff that we like to get lost in. So even just witnessing you, I could tell that you were
Yeah.
showing up differently for your business and that there was this inner drive that you did not have before, which just is what an amazing testimonial for your first coach.
I know. I'm gonna send her this episode.
Yeah. Yeah, and my timeline was a little different. So I got the advice at the end of certification to just interview coaches. And I was like, okay, I can do that. If anything, I'll just learn how they sell. And then I'm magically going to know through just witnessing it one time that I will be a master salesperson. And so there was a coach that had been floating around on my Facebook feed for 3 years, and I don't even know where she found me or what, and I couldn't even remember her name, so when I went to go book a call with her, I just had to wait for one of her posts to pop up on my feed so that I could find her, and I grabbed she didn't have her calendar on her Facebook, so I went to her Instagram and I found her link, and she had 1 spot for the month open, and I was like, "Well, this is a sign." It was between shifts, I was working nights at the time, and I got on a call, and in 15 minutes, I said yes. Like, very quickly, she she didn't even tell me her process, she didn't tell me exactly how, but she goes, "Amazing. I help people just like you create lucrative coaching practices. I know I can help you. Do you want in?" Period. End of story. And I didn't interview any other coaches. And that was definitely an honoring my own intuition moment. But it was I mean, had I not done that, I probably I mean, I can almost speak with a 100% guarantee that I would not be here at all. I would have hired another coach and they wouldn't have been the right fit, or I would have gotten bad advice or whatever, but she had something that I wanted to create. She had created her own business and she was grateful, or not grateful is not the right word. She was kind enough to share the kind of money she was making with our group, so every month I saw her posting that she made 50K or 100K or 165K, and she painted this reality that was possible that was not possible before. And it was through seeing her do it that I was like, I can do this. I can totally do this. I can help people. I can When she broke down the numbers, 165K is a big number, but when she broke it down, it felt manageable. And yeah, again, Steph, if you are listening, I am so aware that I would never be here without your support. And I worked with her for 2 years and she walked me through a lot of the really big moments in my life, from giving birth to open heart surgery. And we really did luck out big time with our first coaches, hugely. But
Dude,
none
I
of
remember I wanna just celebrate you for a second because I remember, like, right out of cert, you doing, like, your first "I am looking for someone" post with, like, the emojis, and it was, like, magical copywriting. Like, there was something I remember thinking, "What the heck is she doing?" Because there was just you could tell you were being guided. At the time, I didn't know that's what it was. I just thought you somehow magically knew what you were doing.
Yep. Yep. I would love for you all to believe that I just magically knew. But what's interesting about that, as a little backstory, is, she had these prompts that we could borrow from her, and of course fill in with our own story and our own language. But I would write these posts and I would need her approval for every single post that I ever made, which was, I'm sure, just the most annoying thing for her. But I would post them in our group and she would tell me, like, "Shelby, your writing is a skill. Like, it is really good. We need to leverage this." And to where, like, I didn't know that before. So, like, she was able
Mm.
to, again, highlight my strengths and leverage what I was good at to connect with people online. And in the beginning, having an online business was the only thing I ever wanted because we moved so often. And yeah, I just, in those moments that I was thinking about hiring her, none of it felt like the right time. Like, I hired her the first time after I felt like, or just found out that I was pregnant. I hired her for a year when I was like 4 months pregnant, knowing that I was gonna have a baby. And then, like, I hired her again for another year, knowing that I was gonna have open heart surgery. And in all of those instances, you can make an argument either way, like, don't invest the money in the coach. But because she was holistically minded, I didn't have to come to the call and only talk about business. I could talk about how I was freaking out that I was gonna have a baby, or I was freaking out because I felt like I was gonna literally die with this aneurysm. And
Yeah.
I think that, again, this is also a big point that we didn't include in our notes, Laura, is having a holistically minded business
Yes,
coach is, like,
sh
it.
I was just gonna say that. I'm like, "Shelby, we have to add this in." This is like, as you're saying that, I'm like, literally realizing, A, we both had that, which we know out there in the business world, there are so many coaches who are not holistically minded. There are so many transactional business coaches that will literally tell you, post 5 times per week and do 3 different social media platforms, and you do I have a special program from A to Z with check boxes, and you will make 7 figures. And it's complete bullshit, y'all. Like, it's bullshit because guess what? In that year that you're creating your business, you're also going to have a life. Like,
Yeah.
life is going to happen to you. And we both are holistic business coaches. Like, in our coaching programs, like, all my clients cry. I cry. Like, it's deep, deep work. Yes, we get to business crap. Yes, we talk about strategy. Yes, I hold your business goals as a priority, but I also can intentionally and intuitively know, like, we're not going to talk about business if your life's falling apart. We're going to talk about your life. And
Mhm.
our lives and our businesses are one symbiotic thing. And we have to nurture the right part at the right time to make the most impact and to move the needle forward as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Had I come to a coaching call with Steph and been like, "Steph, I'm so scared that I'm gonna die and leave my daughter motherless," and she would have been like, "Cool, cool, cool. How many clients do you wanna sign this month?" Like, how missing the mark that would have been. So, yeah, holistically minded business coach. That is what you need to ask people on the call. Can I come to our coaching calls and get support in other areas of my life, or are you just dialed into the. Okay. So, that's our first mark. Then this is the second part is when, right? When do I hire the coach? When is the right time? And for all of you listening, you are likely in a nurse coaching certification or have taken some other certification. And we get this question a lot of like, should I hire a coach now while I'm learning? And if you have the time, like if you aren't working, if you are balanced ish in your life, if you're a mom, like if you have the support to pull that off, absolutely. We would encourage that you be very diligent with your certification and be very on top of it. Have your coursework done. Don't add on something else when you have a very big time commitment already on the table. But about the 6 to 8 week mark before you graduate is a really good sweet spot that we have found because you're wrapping up with your pro bono clients and it's super easy to transition them into paid clients. And just like that, you're in the paid coach club. It's really easy. Um, but and having a coach during that time, they can support you, right? They can coach you on what to say. They can help you get everything set up so that you can send contracts and receive payment and all that stuff. But if you have the time and the space, by all means, jump all in.
Yeah.
Don't slow down.
I would say, like, think of nursing school. Like, when you graduated from nursing school, were you prepared to take your first patient assignment on the floor? No, you had a preceptor. I did a internship program for 4 months in the ICU, unpaid. So there's this transitional period from student ideals to real world. And if you hire a coach at that 6 to 8 week mark, around, if you have time, like Shelby was saying, that period of time, by the time you're actually done with your cert, you can be really, really prepared to launch. And then there's this momentum that comes from certification and the high of completing it, and maybe the high of sitting for your boards, that you can ride. And then I've seen it with clients who never miss a beat. They end the collective with 4 or 5 paid clients. And that's what had happened to me as well, as I had at least gotten started before I graduated because I had the time. So if you have the time and you can pull it off, absolutely, I think it's not a bad idea. But you want to master the skill of coaching because that's what you're going to be selling for your career. So you always want to make sure that you're in student mode first, and then if there's extra time, that you're in creation mode with your coach.
Yeah. Laura, can I ask you to clarify something? Because this actually came up for me on a proposal call the other day. They
Yeah.
were like, Laura said that she didn't hire a business coach until 6 months after she graduated. But then she
Mhm.
also had 5 paid clients while she was in in certification. So
Yeah.
can you just elaborate a little bit more on that? Because I giggled. I was like, "Oh, yeah, that kind of
Yeah.
doesn't add up when you just hear it that way."
Oh, yeah, I had 5 or 6 paid clients, um, but I wasn't barely making any money.
Mm,
Because I was doing one-offs. I was doing 6 weeks for 600. I was doing all these, like, short things and weird offerings, and I was making money and I was making proposals, but it was so rocky. It was so not the right offer, the right way. I had no training in sales or overcoming objections. This was just me literally inviting everybody I could think of to have a free session with me, which somehow I knew how to I knew how to do that. But it was not sustainable. There was no way that my office was going to stay open, that I was going to be able to continue doing what I was doing. I was in a trajectory that was not sustainable.
yeah. Yeah, which is, again, I think speaks to the potential outcome if you don't hire a coach, right? You can find success. It's often short term and short lived. And then you are constantly in client creation mode to where there's no time for anything else, right? There's no time to scale or to grow or any of that. And you hustle greatly under that,
Yes.
that route.
I also watched like coaching videos from Rich Litvin. Like I wasn't like I wasn't trying to find the info. I just didn't know or know how to find a good coach and hire them. I
Yeah.
was doing the DIY. I was DIYing hard.
It worked. We can argue that it did work, but
It was just
also
not comfortable.
yeah, yeah. Ah, okay, so yes, you can hire a coach while in certification. It can be helpful. We have a lot of folks who hire us about that 6 to 8 week mark out. And again, super easy to transfer your pro bono clients into paid clients and ride that wave that Laura was talking about. Really ride the momentum because it's a really special time that I haven't replicated since graduating. It's a fun time. You feel fearless, which is probably why you could invite everyone you knew to a coaching conversation, Laura, and been like, "Yeah, I know exactly what I'm doing."
Oh, I had the rose-colored life was just I had that I was riding that high, and then it's when the high began to lose its steam where I didn't have a solid plan,
Mm, yeah.
and had I hired Christina 6 to 8 weeks into certification, like, would I have made 6 figures in the first 12 months? Probably. Like, honestly, that's probably would have happened, so I would have saved money. Had I
Yeah.
spent the money earlier, I would have saved money because I wouldn't have, been spending so much on websites and flyers and weird stuff.
Weird stuff. We are also I also wanna make it really clear that we are talking specifically to nurse coaches who are looking for business support, for business coaching. I think that if you are in certification and are looking for another type of coach, same rules apply. But we are talking specifically towards the folks who want their
Yes.
own private practice. And that kind of leads me into our next point here is that if you want your own private nurse coaching practice, 100% you have to hire a coach because it's going to feel super gross and very inauthentic to sell something that you don't believe in enough to invest in for yourself.
You know what? And I need to also offer the information that I hired a nurse coach in certification, but not business. So I worked with a paid nurse coach for 3 months, um, because I wanted to see what it felt like to pay for a coach and to have that experience. So that might have been why I was able to pull a little bit off because I knew that I could at least, um, I think I paid 1,200 for 12 weeks. I was like, I think I can do that. I think if I did it, probably somebody else would. And like, I used that as my benchmark of like what was possible. So I want to throw that in because I always forget to include that because it's not the business part of my story. Um, and if you're in CERT and you want to experience professional coaching, life coaching, health coaching, a general nurse coach, reach out to Shelby and I because we have an incredible referral network. So we could literally hook you up with one of our previous clients that specializes in whatever your problem is.
Totally. Totally. Yes, but investing in yourself through your business is pivotal. I do not know of a coach, nurse coach, or regular coach that has done this solo and is having sustainable success. And also, when you hire a coach for yourself, especially a business coach, I feel like that's when the second chapter of your learning begins, right? You learn a lot of things in certification. And then this is where you get to see it in real life on a consistent basis over a longer period of time, be put into practice every single week. So you learn how to emulate a coach. And it's the fastest and most efficient way to deepen your own coaching skills. I remember there were many times that I didn't know what to do with a client, so I just pause and I would take a deep breath and I'd be like, "Okay, what would Steph do? What would Steph say?" And I would draw on what I think she would do or how I think she would show up in that moment because I had seen her show up for other people in our group coaching space in a similar way, and I was able to support my clients better because I
Yeah.
had a wide network of experiences to pull from.
I and it never ends. Like that never ends. That emulation that you get from working with another human being. They'll say, they'll use a story to illustrate something, or they'll have language. They'll put language to a concept that you had never put language to before, that you in turn go and you bring to your client. Um, at the time we're recording this, I just rehired my life coach, who's also a therapist, who Shelby referred me to. And every week that I meet with her, I bring something that she says to me back to my clients. Like, I'm still deepening my language, my toolbox, my understanding, my concepts, my capacity through doing my own work every week.
Mhm.
Um, she makes me a better coach. By hiring her to help me, it makes me be a better coach to my clients.
Totally. Totally. And we often see that whenever new nurse coaches, they'll come to the call and be like, "Ooh, I feel a little bit shaky supporting someone in this particular area or with this particular goal." That's almost always a red flag that like that is somewhere where we get to deepen their own awareness with themselves first. They feel shaky with clients because they haven't done the work with themselves yet. And the more that we uncover for ourselves and peel back our own onion layers, you will be infinitely resourced to support clients of all shapes and sizes that walk through your hypothetical Zoom doors here.
Mm. I also think what helps is that, say you have 5 clients, they all come to you with slightly different problems or issues or visions, and you're supporting all 5 of them, and 2 of them are doing really good and 3 of them aren't doing great, or they're coming to the calls each week and they're not doing the thing. If you don't have a coach, your brain's gonna start to tell you that you're a shitty coach. That's why your 3 people aren't knocking it out of the park. And what helps is to even talking through that, and having more experienced mentorship resources say, well, have you tried this? It's likely you're not showing up powerfully enough. It's likely that this particular client isn't even suited for coaching. They're more of a therapeutic client. But your brain doesn't have to make it be about you, because you can trust the point of view from your mentors on how you serve your clients. So yes, you have somebody, a business coach is going to teach you what to do in business, but they're also your mentor. Your clients get them too. Um, they get the wisdom, like Shelby's clients get the wisdom of all of Shelby's coaching, all of Shelby's life experiences, suggestions, toolbox stuff. Like, it makes you better at your craft to be supported.
Totally, totally. And it's really normal as a new coach to feel super insecure and to have shame and guilt and a lack of confidence and to feel like an imposter. And again, that's why you have a coach to help you untangle all that garbage so you don't have to carry it all by yourself. And also like even I was on a coaching call earlier today and one of my clients was like, "I'm feeling this way. Is it normal? Am I normal?" And everyone else in the group popped off being like, "Yep, yep, 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 yep." Like and it makes you realize that you're not special in the best way, that everyone else is having a similar
Yeah.
experience as you.
Yeah. Yeah, Jessica's my current coach. She'll always be like, Yeah, like, I'll tell her my thing. Like, I'll come to our call and, like, "What can I support you on?" And I'll tell her my thing, and she's like, "Yeah, so, like, how can we look at that as, like, not a problem?" And I just like that she's probably said that to me, like, 20 times, but I need her to say that to me for my brain to switch gears and switch perspective and start to see this thing is happening for me because as opposed to something's wrong. Something's gone wrong, I know it.
Mm,
Um,
yeah,
so simple, but so freaking powerful. And if we can be supported in that way on a consistent basis, we just show up so much more powerfully for our clients.
totally. Totally. This is why it's necessary, right?
Yeah.
This is why it's necessary, and this is also coming from 2 nurse coaches. I mean, we're sitting here telling you that we invested in our own coaching, but, like, to make that real, I have had a coach every minus the 4 months I was on maternity leave, every single month that I've been in practice. I have had support. Now, I have a I have my own personal coach. Laura and I share a business strategist, and I meet with my therapist every single week. Like, I got a 3-person team here helping me through this process, and we've invested so much money, like over $100,000 in our own personal development since opening each of our
Yeah.
businesses. It's 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 serious, and if you talk to very high level coaches, everyone, all of them are obsessed with finding the next coach, having the right support because they know and they value coaching as a whole. They know it's the thing that's going to
And
get them
growth.
yeah, from point A to point B.
I think this is not on our notes to talk about, but I want to segue into this. One of the coolest things about choosing this as your career is that personal development and your own coaching gets to be a percentage of your projected income for the year of coaching. So last year, Shelby and we did our holistic goal setting. We both said, I said I wanted to spend 35K. You said you want to spend a certain amount. And then we find ways to spend that. Like we hire coaches for certain things. And then maybe like we want to go to Joe Dispenza one day, like when we can get away to Joe Dispenza, but we set aside that profit, that money as 10% of it's going to um, more development, like more growth. And that's where people say, is coaching like MLM? Like, are you just coaching coaches, coaching coaches, coaching coaches? And I'm like, yes and no, because for the few that small percent that do this for their lives, this becomes their career, this becomes their passion. Usually, we're all self development junkies. We're obsessed with the human experience and how we can evolve and grow.
Yeah, and if you think of the people who usually value coaching, it's usually coaches. So, like, of course, even if your niche is not coaches in particular, it won't surprise me if every coach serves another coach at some point in their career just
Yeah.
because that's who has the most to gain, right? It's like coaching executives and high level entrepreneurs is they have the most to gain from getting their own mental shit untangled and taken care of. So,
Yeah.
of course that makes sense. Um, yeah, I love when people that are outside the coaching bubble that are like, "Oh, is this just a bunch of boss babes?" And I'm like, "And so what if it was? Like, so what if it was a bunch of boss babes? Leave us alone."
Yeah, that's where you're just like, "Yes,
Yes, it is.
it
Do you
is.
wanna be a boss
Do you
babe?
wanna come?"
Yeah. Ugh, yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Laura, here's like what's become a little bit of our famous tagline. And that is every time I make a pitch and I can't speak for you, Laura, because I'm not on your sales calls, but I say this all the time. But you don't have to hire me and Laura. If you are a nurse coach looking to be successful in private practice, you don't. You don't have to hire us, but you do have to hire somebody. And it is really
Yes.
important to have someone that you're in resonance with, and if it's not us, we are okay. If it is not us, that is all
Mhm.
right. However, I want to put something out here that we don't know any nurse coaches that are successful in private practice, and the way that we are choosing to define success here is having sustainable five-figure months in their business, in a business that feels authentic and it feels sustainable. We don't know any other nurse coaches that have not worked with us, period.
Yeah.
And I if that comes across cocky, then I'm not taking responsibility for that because it's the truth, and everyone is allowed to define success in their own manner, and that is 100% valid. But people I don't know of any other nurse coaches that are pulling that off that have not worked with either me or you. And
In our circle. Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
and I wanna share that just because I had some mental stuff, some mental baggage to where it felt like I was preying on my own community, and my I went to my coach and I was feeling all bad about myself, and I was like, "It feels gross. I don't wanna offer to my friends. Like, I just wanna, I just wanna support them. I just wanna cheerlead." And she looked me straight in the face and she was like, "Is anyone else able to do this? Like, is anyone else able to support people the way that you and Laura support them?" And I was like, "No." And she was like, "Are any of them having success if they haven't worked with you? Success in the way that you define it." And I was like, "No." Again, I hope that that changes. I hope that there are other
Yeah.
avenues in the future, um, but also we're the real deal. So we are serious about our coaching practice. We are serious about getting our nurse coaches results. We are serious about being holistically minded, and we want to provide a high touch experience for all of our coaches
Yeah.
that come through. And it's really hard to guarantee that outside of our programs.
What a waste. And this is how I found my why. I just let go of my last one-on-one client a month ago. Up until now, I had been doing both businesses. I've been doing the Successful Nurse Coach, and I'd also been always coaching one-on-one clients. And there came a point where I knew I could have more impact if I constrained and I focused only on the Successful Nurse Coach. And the mental gymnastics that I did around that was if I don't start helping more nurse coaches, we're not going to have any standing. They're not going to make it to the 5 year mark.
Mhm.
They're going to hire a shitty coach. They're going to do the thing. It's not going to work. They're going to quit. And then what's all this movement for? Like, I want to be the reason why we have hundreds, if not thousands, of 6 figure nurse coaches all over the country, confident, changing shit,
Yeah.
right? Like, just I want this profession to change healthcare. And so I know that my role in this moment is being the driving force of that.
Mhm.
Um, but it took, a little bit of coaching as well to settle into this role and freaking own it.
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, that's a really good point. Laura and I both kind of we were like, "Yeah, we'll help, but we're gonna do all these other things, and we're gonna still whatever over here." And like that's actually not in service to our people, right? So it's it did take us a while to get there, but we've been here for a while, and man, it's way more fun to have way less judgment
Hmm.
about who we serve, and two, there's such a need for nurse coaches wanting to be successful. There's such a need
Yeah,
for this freedom, the time freedom, the income freedom, and it is awesome to be this part of the wheel right now.
totally. It's so fun. It's the funnest work I've ever done in my entire life. You guys, I just flew to Austin last weekend, Shelby. Was it
Yeah.
last weekend?
Oh my god. It feels I don't know.
And
Sometime.
I flew in for 2 nights and we just like rented a conference room and we were caffeinated and we had snacks and we had our laptops and we just banged out so much work. We talked about our clients, we talked about our dreams, we talked about our retreats, we talked about everything. And I was exhausted, but it was the funnest weekend I have ever had because I love to work. And had we not decided to step into this role, that's not the kind of things we'd be doing. We wouldn't be sacrificing our weekends to talk about our clients' strengths and weaknesses and how can we support them and how can we make this year, how can we push them past way what they thought was possible this year, and what resources do we need and what experts can we draw from, and um, it's just incredible.
Yeah, we're very we're really lucky. I read a quote the other day that it says, "The braver I am, the luckier I get." And I was like, "Hell yeah." I buy into that 100% because we have taken many leaps of faith to get here.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
man.
all right. All right,
So,
guys. So,
yeah, if I guess my question here is I kinda like the idea of leaving everyone with a question, Laura, and then they can go answer it in our Facebook group and hang out
okay.
with us over there, and the question I have for all of you here is, do you have any more clarity on when you should hire the right support? So if you were
Mm,
feeling like you might be needing support now, did we move the needle a little bit forward to where you're ready to start exploring those options and maybe talking to some coaches? Or did it reconfirm that maybe not right now? Maybe in a month I can revisit this and open up some more time in my life to go all in with a coach.
yeah,
I would love to know if we missed anything. If you have any extra questions, our Facebook group, The Successful Nurse Coaches, is a great place to come and ask and get support.
absolutely. We love our free Facebook group. We're there. We will have a lot of engagement and almost 1,000 members, and we know that's going to keep going up. So that's one place to come and get support that's totally free, and you're going to be in a community with badass coaches. So they always say hang out with the people that you want to be like. If you want to be a successful nurse coach, that's a wonderful place to spend some of your time.